Cineasta dedicada às questões socioambientais, Deia Schlosberg traz em seu mais recente filme um debate em torno das questões que envolvem o plástico. Por que existem plásticos que só podem ser utilizados uma vez e não podem sequer ser reciclados? Como essa indústria conseguiu que os consumidores fossem responsabilizados por seus excessos? E por que algumas coisas que não são mais aceitáveis nos países tidos como desenvolvidos vão parar nos países em desenvolvimento? O filme A História do Plástico está em exibição na 10ª Mostra Ecofalante de Cinema e você confere a seguir nossa entrevista com a cineasta.
Basically, we're told to look at ourselves and our own behavior as the cause and the solution to the problem, and we've in large part bought into that for decades. And the problem is getting worse. So clearly, that is not the solution. And we need to look at why we believe we are the problem and the solution. And by peeling back the layers of the messaging, we start to see who started that story. And in this case, what we discovered is it was actually the industry side of things that started that story. And it makes total sense from their perspective. If we consumers believe that plastic pollution is our fault, then we don't look elsewhere to place blame. We feel guilt, we feel shame, we put it on ourselves to fix it and relieve anybody else from that responsibility. If we're still looking at our own behaviors and our own decisions as the problem and the solution, recycling also fits perfectly into that, because then we can tell ourselves, I'm doing something about it and we don't have to look elsewhere. As soon as we investigate who those beliefs benefit, we start to see them fall apart and we have to re-examine the narrative.
You point this whole construction of narrative before, where you try to address probably the viewer when you publish something around zero waste and other things that we might feel like, oh, there is something I can do. So I would like to hear from you. How do you try to manage conveying the two messages, not to adhere to the message they want you to put out there?
I mean, when we can go to East Java and see piles and piles of products that we're familiar with, that we see in our stores, and know that they're not produced there, it brings up a lot of questions. And listening to the perspective of the people in East Java who see those things, who live behind the curtain, it feels critical to listen and learn and just see that these prevailing narratives are obviously not real, if this exists.
One thing that caught my attention was a phrase that it's everything all part of the same problem. And the link to poverty is quite obvious. If you care to expand on that, I would like to hear.
The system of recycling globally cannot exist without extreme poverty, because basically plastic, the different kinds of plastic have different value based on how much functionality is left in them after a use. Can they be remade into something else, or are they too low value to have any use? So at that point, they like trickle down this system and go to a place where they do have value because of how the markets work, because of costs of living. So they get to those places where they have value again, and those lower value plastics are in that context higher value, and they're sorted out. And it keeps going down through levels of poverty until, I mean, the material ends up in the environment at the point where you can't extract value from it anymore. they're not responding to anybody in the world saying, we want these products, we want this material. It's them having the material and saying, we need to figure out a way to get value out of this. And how can we sell that, the idea of this stuff having value? It's so bizarre.
How do you see good examples of trying to put this message to more people? Or do you think we have some good examples as well? Or maybe we are not there yet?
I mean, plastic is an amazing material. Like if used, it can do amazing things because it lasts forever. So that should be the way that we use it. In thinking about what do we need to have around for a very long time, when its whole useful life is a matter of seconds, it just seems absurd. We need political intervention in order to make it the path of least resistance. As long as the materials are cheaper, there's no incentive for the companies to claim responsibility for the packaging through its end of life.
Of the things that you recorded, which ones do you think impacted you the most?
It's definitely the synthesis of all these different experiences. So it's hard to extract individual experiences. When I see things on market shelves, I immediately then see them in the river on the other side of the planet. I try not to get obsessive about my individual purchasing decisions and try to use my time thinking about system change instead. Try to get the word out and support these organizations and these people that are doing the real work on the ground and in government and in their communities.